Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. This is Tim, one half of Horror Movie Yearbook, here with your horror hotline for July 23rd, 2018. Hope everybody had a good weekend. It's time to start the week again. Let's jump right into it. Comic-Con, of course, was this weekend. Ton of cool stuff coming out of there. I'm getting together with Willie in the next couple days. We are going to wrap it all up. So we're not going to wrap it up here today. Willie and I'm going to get the expert in on a couple of things. An expert on most things. And he's going to correct me where I'm wrong on certain stuff. So I put together that preview last Thursday that had some predictions. None of them were really right as expected. But we'll get Willie the next couple days, and we'll talk it out. We'll hash it out. We'll do kind of a Comic-Con recap for this week's podcast. Today, though, we're going to talk about big news coming out of Comic-Con for horror fans. Scream Factory, it's the subsidiary of Shout Factory. They release a lot of horror movies on Blu-ray. They announced their next 14 titles, and some of them are really cool. So what I want to do is go over each of those. I'm going to rank them from the ones I'm least excited about to the ones I'm most excited about of the ones they announced, and kind of go over some of the specs that they have included. They don't have everything, of course, but just up to now what they've included and what they're going to be putting out on DVD and Blu-ray over the next couple months, kind of the collector's edition. So let's get started there. They announced 14 of them. There are 2 movies that I have not seen. One of them I wish I would have seen. Well, actually, both of them I kind of want to see, but we'll start at number 14. We'll get those 2 out of the way. Number 14, the first one is 10 to Midnight. 10 to Midnight is a Charles Bronson exploitation movie. It's a canon film. I have never actually seen that one, so I didn't feel comfortable really ranking it. But I ranked it at 14 anyway. But it's getting a release in 2019. They refer to it, and I've seen it referred to as kind of an early slasher film, or like not an early one, one in 1983, so towards the end of that cycle there. But it's a slasher film in disguise is what I've heard. Very grimy, very exploitative. I am actually, weirdly enough, not a huge Charles Bronson fan. I don't really like the Death Wish movies. It's weird. It's just they're really skeevy to me, those Death Wish movies. So I've always been kind of steered away from Charles Bronson, but that one's coming out. 10 to Midnight is coming out. They expect it in early 2019. The other one that I haven't seen on this list, and this is the one I really wish I would have seen, and maybe I'll check it out. I do want to check it out when it comes out, is Obsession, the De Palma film, the Brian De Palma film. I've heard this is really good. There are a few holes in my De Palma watching, and this is one of them. This one's got Cliff Robertson and John Lithgow. This one's also expected to come out in early 2019. Number 12, so of the ones I have seen, this is probably the one I'm least excited about, and then we'll go up from there. Single White Female. Single White Female is a part of that early 90s psychological thriller boom that had movies like Basic Instinct and Fatal Attraction, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Later on in the 90s, we get things like Fear, quick plug. We'll be talking about Comic-Con and Fear, the Mark Wahlberg, William Peterson, Reese Witherspoon movie from 96. That one is very trashy, as is Single White Female. So both movies quite trashy. That's the main thing I remember about Single White Female, and I don't recall being a huge fan of this one. We'll move up. Number 11 is Saturday the 14th. I'm happy that they're digging this deep into the archives to pull something like Saturday the 14th out. I'm not a huge fan of it by any means, but it's a scary movie before scary movie, kind of a spoof style movie. It's fun enough, but this is getting a Blu-ray release for the first time ever. But it's kind of neat how far Scream Factory will go back and pull some of these and put them on Blu-ray. Number 10, Sleepwalkers. This is the Mick Garris and Stephen King movie from the early 90s. There are no extras announced at this time. They say Mick Garris is going to be heavily involved. I am not crazy about this movie. It's been a while since I've watched it, but it's okay. I love Mick Garris hosts the best horror podcast, of course, other than Horror Movie Yearbook, on the web, on the World Wide Web. Is that what the kids are calling it? And Mick Garris is great. That's why I'm actually looking forward to the special features maybe more than the release itself, because Garris is great. This is a movie kind of it's about like werecats. It's strange and honestly not very good. But like I said, the Garris makes will make the special features worth it, and he'll do a great job helping them out. Number 9, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. This is Garbage Day. Everybody seen the clip Garbage Day? Where the guy runs out and he goes, Garbage Day, and then he shoots the other guy. I actually own this box set. I own the Silent Night, Deadly Night box set already. This is another Christmas horror, and this is the sequel to that first one. This one is okay. It's not good enough for me to double dip for. Number 8, Screamers. This is a sci-fi thriller I watched actually for the first time a few months ago. This has Peter Weller and Jennifer Rubin. It's kind of like a low-rent Dune. I watched this for the first time a few months ago, and I really liked it. This is a great 2 a.m. on like Action Max or Showtime Beyond type movie. Like if you're up late and looking for something that's like a low rent Dune, then Screamers is the movie for you. Number 7, we have Urban Legend's Final Cut. This is the sequel to Urban Legend. I like the sequel a lot. It's a solid, maybe one of the this is not high praise, but maybe one of the best sequels to those 90s thriller. Actually, it probably is one of the best sequels to those 90s slashers we got. It's pretty gory too. This will be out this year, November 20th. I should say Screamers will be out 2019. I really have screwed up the dates. You can find all of the dates on Scream Factory's Facebook or their website. Number 6, Dracula, Prince of Darkness. This is the Christopher Lee Hammer film. This is where I admit that overall, I don't really love Hammer horror. I get the appeal. It's not for me, for whatever reason. But this is one of the best of them. This is going to be out in December. And what I will say about this, and they do say expect more Hammer films in 2019. What I will say is Hammer films are known for kind of their lush and vibrant colors. So this is going to they do look really gorgeous in high definition. So on Blue, this will look great. Up next, number 5, we have the Critters Collection. This will have all of the Critters movies on Blu-ray for the first time ever. I'll go over some of the specs here. All 4 Critters film will be housed in a collectible rigid slipcase. Each film will receive a dedicated Blu-ray case. New extras are in progress. Street date is November 27th. If you order on shoutfactory.com, you get an exclusive 28.5 by 16.5 roll lithograph of the slipcase art. I like Critters. This is a video store staple for me growing up. I like their box sets a lot, though, so I might actually pick this one up. I have pretty much any horror box set, I believe, that has been released, so this is one that I will just pick up out of sheer completism, probably. But the Critters movies are fun, and they are definitely worth a watch. Maybe we can get a Fight the Franchise going on that. You never know. Number 4, The Craft. Yeah, this is the collector's edition of The Craft. I have a huge soft spot for The Craft. It was one of the first like female-centric horror movies I remember watching as a young person. I don't necessarily think some of it holds up that well. In fact, I know some of it doesn't hold up that well because we watched it a few months back on the podcast. You can check that out on our feed. I am looking forward to the documentaries on this disc mostly. Just kind of, maybe if they can get everybody back together and talk about The Craft, it'd be really cool kind of as a retrospective. Let's move along here. Number 3, Urban Legend. I love this movie. This is one of my favorite of the post-Scream. This might be my favorite of the post-Scream slashers. This is a lot of fun. There are a ton of inventive kills. I think it's one of the best movies of that era. I think it's one of the best slasher movies of that era, I'll say. I love this movie. This is going to be a 2-disc set featuring a lot of new extras. It looks like they've got Jamie Blanks, the director, in for a commentary. If you order it on their website, you can get an 18-inch by 24-inch poster for it. Very excited about this one. Number 2, Starman. John Carpenter's Starman. This is kind of one of the forgotten Starman or Carpenter movies. And I also think, in addition to being forgotten, it's definitely underrated. I think it's incredibly sweet and fun. Weirdly enough, this is one of the first. This is probably the first Carpenter movie I remember watching in my life, because my parents really liked this movie. And at the time, I mean, they didn't know it was a Carpenter movie. I didn't know it was a Carpenter movie, because it's not full Carpenter, and I think that leads to it getting forgotten a little bit in his collection of movies and his filmography. But this honestly is one of my favorite movies of him. I like it a lot. It's very likable. And it's kind of his response to people who said The Thing was too dark and too bleak. This is his kind of hopeful response to that alien coming to Earth. I love it. I'm definitely going to pick this one up. It's got Jeff Bridges and the great Karen Allen and the great Jeff Bridges. This is going to be out in December. And they are getting close to completing their Carpenter. I think there's a couple that are still held up in rights issues, but they did just put out Christine. They haven't put out. Scream Factory didn't, but someone else just put out a really good 2-disc Blu-ray of that. And now the number one Scream Factory release of the 14 they announced of their upcoming releases that I am looking forward to, the Candyman Collector's Edition. We just talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'll do a quick recap here. I think this will be held up as a classic of its time period. I think it's wonderful. I think it's smart. I think it's meaningful. I think it's one of the best horror movies of the 90s. This is going to be a 2-disc set. It's going to be loaded with special features. I'm looking forward to the cover art. I haven't seen it yet. It's got a street date. It's going to be out November 20th. I can't wait for this. This is one that is a definite pickup for me. That's the Candyman, and that's the Candyman Collector's Edition. That are the 14 movies being released by Scream Factory, and that is the one that I'm most excited about. Let's talk box office real quick. The Purge finished number 8 in the box office. Grossed another $5 million, down less than 50%, giving it $60 million to date. And then the new horror movie, Unfriended, The Dark Web, finished in 9th. It collected $3.5 million. That is lower than expected. It was projected to be around 4 to 6. This only had a $1 million production budget. I don't know how much went into advertising. Not a ton from what I've seen. This kind of seemed like Blumhouse is they threw it out there as kind of like a bonus movie. And they've done some neat stuff. It does have 2 different endings, it seems. So if you have seen it, go back and check it. They want to have people go back and check it out again, see if they can see the second ending. But yeah, the first one actually gross $30 million domestically. The Purge, by the way, is up to $60 million domestically, so it might catch up. It's going to catch up to the first one. I don't know if it's going to catch up to Purge 3, which ended up with $79 million, but it's up to $60 million. So, but yeah, Unfriended, that first one kind of grew. It did $64 million worldwide. I think $30 million domestic, and that only had a $1 million budget as well. I don't think it's going to do even close to as well as that first one. I didn't get a chance to check it out. I do like the first Unfriended quite a bit, and I will watch this one. It's probably going to end up having to be on video. The rest of the box office, The Equalizer debuted at number 1 with 35.8. Mamma Mia 2 at number 2 with 34.3. A pretty strong weekend for the box office overall. I will say I did see Mamma Mia 2. I did not see Unfriended. I know I'm the host of a horror podcast. I did not see Unfriended, The Dark Web. I will watch it, don't worry. But I did see Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. And it's a wonderful, wonderful film. I don't know if it's... I mean, is it as good as the first one? I don't know. I don't know why you have to choose. No, it's one of those things where it's a movie where I was skeptical going in because honestly I don't know how deep the ABBA catalog is. I had a friend's mom who I would stay over at his house every Friday or Saturday night when I was younger, and we would stay up too late, and we'd always get awoken by his mom cranking the ABBA greatest hits at like 7 a.m. and cleaning, and it drove us both insane as younger people. But so I am familiar with the ABBA catalog, and I like quite a few of their songs. I just didn't know how deep it was, how it would lend itself to a sequel, and they made it work. It's one of those movies where if you're I don't see how you can go in. If you're skeptical going in and you get halfway through this movie and you're not completely taken by it. I don't know. That's how I was. But it's a lot of fun. It's bright. The dance numbers are like, there are more of them in this. I don't know if it's because La La Land was such a hit, but there are like silly kind of dance numbers that I don't remember being. I remember 1 or 2 in the original, but this one has more of them. Pierce Brosnan, less singing in this one, more dancing. He's quite captivating at both of those things. Captivating would be a word I would choose to describe his dancing and singing skills. Very intense at times, old Pierce is. But this is probably, I was very surprised. It's probably one of the better sequels I've seen. This is definitely one of the better musical sequels I think I've ever seen. And the whole thing, it just works. About halfway through, you're just you just go with it. And they mix in a lot of the hits because you're kind of sitting there going, yeah, play the hits after a couple of the lesser known ABBA songs. But yeah, hey, Mamma Mia, great movie. There's your horror movie yearbook official review of Mamma Mia. That's it. I think I'm done for the day. I got my Mamma Mia review out. Let's see. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/MidwestPodNet. We've got a ton of podcasts. We've got Horror Movie Yearbook coming out with a new episode this week. We're going to be talking about Fear with Mark Wahlberg. We've got Midwest Game Nerds. I believe they've got a new one coming out within the next couple days. Gone to Texas, the Preacher podcast. That'll definitely be out within the next couple days. Check all those out. But our Patreon, patreon.com/MidwestPodNet, you can donate to us for as little as $1 a month. And maybe you'll get more Mamma Mia 2 reviews. So that's it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with something. Some news will drop. But I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks again for listening. And have a good day.